Hi guys, I love Gary Lineker. He's an asset to the BBC due to his willingness to speak out on issues that affect those who have little or no voice. He's in such a high-profile position that he can't be silenced by his employer, unfortunately something many commentators and journalists worry deeply about. While a huge advocate for the BBC, he did point out here one of the major flaws that exist within the national broadcaster. Have a listen to this.
Also, this is the mistake the BBC makes. The BBC tries to appease the people that hate the BBC. The people that always go on about the licence fee and attack the BBC. They worry way too much about that rather than worrying about the people that love the BBC, which is the vast majority, because the BBC is a wonderful institution. It's got its problems, but that is a mistake that they made.
But the BBC needs to be trusted, and the BBC overall needs to be seen to be impartial, particularly in news. And when you are so associated with the BBC, highly paid by the BBC, even though you are a freelancer, you've just accepted that what you did damaged the BBC. And some people would say, Gary, just while you're working for the Beeb, just don't bang on about what you don't like with government policy. Just put a sock in it.
And the people that say that obviously are the people that do try and champion freedom of speech. But freedom of speech when it suits them.
Do you see this as a freedom of speech issue?
Of course it is. Why shouldn't I have an opinion on things? I'm a bloody footballer who's turned into a sports presenter.
Because
Well said. You know, the people who keep shouting about freedom of expression, free speech, are the ones who also want to silence Gary Lineker. Gary Lineker needs to shut up. Gary Lineker needs to go away. Gary Lineker should be fired. This is the rhetoric we hear from these people. So, of course, they're hypocrites and we shouldn't really be giving them the time of day. But I want to go back to the point that Gary raised here. The BBC seems to be its own worst enemy, inviting people on who constantly criticise the BBC, who want to see it shut down. Now, I'm not talking about Nigel Farage, I'm not talking about politicians, I'm talking about commentators, I'm talking about people like Nick Ferrari or people from right-wing think tanks. I'm talking about commentators. The politicians, you can make the argument, okay, Nigel Farage is now an MP, he should be given a platform that's right, suitable for his size of party. Unfortunately, that's not happening. And I've been extremely critical of the BBC giving Nigel Farage a huge platform before he was even elected to Parliament. That's something that they need to look at going forward. There is, unfortunately, I see this attempt to emulate the internet, to emulate right-wing channels like GB News or Talk TV, to try and copy that, to try and copy stuff like the right-wing podcasts. Or let's have this sort of balanced approach. Let's bring on the far right and the far left, or let's bring on people who are beyond the pale in order to get the ratings up. That's not what the BBC should be about. It should be about creating a place where people access information, informed conversations, not extremes. And I think they need to move away from this model of attempting just to go after ratings, go after numbers. Leave that to the private sector. Leave that to Talk TV or GB News, who keep banging on about their ratings. The BBC should be above that. It should be somewhere where people can see. This is where politicians are grilled on both sides, where rubbish is called out, where the topic of the day is provided in an impartial way as possible, where the public have confidence in it. Gary is right when he says, we should be talking about the positive things. People want to see the positives. They don't want to see all this negativity. They don't want to see the people who are constantly running the BBC down. The BBC should focus on the people who talk it up, who celebrate it. Because bringing on people like Nick Ferrari or Julia Hartley-Brewer, these individuals want to see the BBC destroyed. And giving them a platform doesn't serve the interests of the BBC, and it doesn't serve the interests of its viewers. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.